Hey there, y'all. Just figured I'd put out a video here real quick. Basically, wanted to go over, ticker ZCAR. This is one that I called out last Friday. Some of you may have already seen my video from earlier today. Definitely had a pretty good rant there. Made me feel a little better, so, mission accomplished, I guess. Um, uh, and I did have a couple of people that hit me up and they said that they actually, did get a hold of this one, bought it up, and held on to it. So that's great for anybody that did get in and held through and was successful today with that. Um, Basically, I want to come back around to this one, and kind of just put it up on notice again, because I was, not that I wanted to look at it because it just kind of pisses me off. This morning, I get up at 1 a.m. In the morning for trading, so my hours are pretty screwed up compared to a lot of people's. The people on the East Coast, they got it, a little easier, but it is what it is. Um, but basically, it was just had no volume this morning in pre-market, and it started moving around a little bit, going into regular trading hours, and it actually moved down, and it moved down to the point where it surpassed the second support level, and just didn't show that bullish pattern. Like, it broke that bullish pattern, and when I saw that, it was like it just instantly turned me off, and I was just like, oh man, what the hell's going on here? It's like, once that happens, that's when I start getting a little worried, and I'm just at that point, it's like, I might want to just take my loss. um, because at that point, it was like, I think that I had that second level marked out at $3.50, and it broke down to like $3.35 is what it touched down at, and I thought, well, I'll leave it there and see what happens with it, and see if it can make a strong recovery from that point. And it didn't. It didn't really seem to do a whole lot once it hit that bottom. It just kind of stuck there because there wasn't really much for volume. And then it gradually ticked back up to like $3.80, $4, and just, stayed flat there. Just basically flatlined, and there wasn't much for volume for multiple minutes. And, at that point, I was just like, screw it, I'm getting out, you know. Yeah, it was just kind of unpredictable at that point. And I wanted out, even if I had to take the loss on it, which was the wrong call. I should have just stuck it out, and I would have been rewarded for it, of course. But it is what it is. I told y'all I bought in at $4.75 and $5. I made two different purchases, and I ended up selling at $3.80 freaking cents. So I didn't take any minute loss by any means. That's a 20% knockoff right there. So really sucked. But it's definitely one that I would continue to keep on your radar for the week. I'm not going to be getting back into it. It's like, I'm not that kind of person. I'm just not. Basically what I'm good at is finding those early stage, big runners, things that are sitting at $3, $4, $5, and can run up to 10, $15 with no problem, as long as there's the momentum, of course, and people are paying attention to what I'm saying. And of course, those people kind of need to do their part too, and let people know, hey, this setup here, it's looking really good. So that definitely helps bring in the volume and bring in the momentum and everything else. But it is moving around right now, and after hours, it's actually up from, where it closed at. So I think it was sitting up above $7, you know, uh, before I started filming this here. So we'll see where it closes today. But I'm really expecting the rest of the week to basically be just like today and yesterday, where there wasn't really shit moving around. And you know, if you were lucky, you might have been able to hit one of the 100% runners that's been put up on the bulletin board there in the top five. But that all happened within 5 minutes, and more than likely you missed out, and it ain't budging around at all, and it's just kind of a waste of time. You might as well just go back to bed. So, that's why I brought up Zcar. It's like, this one's easy. I mean, just so freaking easy. You bring the volume and it will move up. I promise you that. It's like the setup was just perfect. The boxes were checked off. It's like doesn't get any simpler than this, folks. Like, all you got to do is put in the effort and put in the volume. So I go through a lot of time. I spend a lot of time, in the market on a daily basis, looking for particular tickers that are moving around, and seeing what they're all about and everything else. And most of the time, I'm just trading off of technicals, and that's probably the best way to trade, at least for now. When it comes to when it comes to any of the nitty gritty crap, financials or any of that crap, it really just doesn't matter at this point. So the technicals, what's the chart saying? That's what I'm looking at, and that's probably the best way to trade in this market. Um, if it has news behind it, great, that helps. But you notice the last few months anyway, it's like anything that's dropped great news did, it just bombed downward. It didn't do great at all. At best, it might have held its price at the time. And then you have all these others that are just blowing up. No news, nothing, no backing behind them. So it is what it is. You trade what's tradable. So anyway, I think that with Zcar, this one, it would have been nice. It would have been great to have had the volume that we had yesterday, because this would have, for sure, no doubt in my mind, it would have been a 300% top gainer. That's just a no-brainer for me. But now it's just been spread out to the point where, people have already been in and out of it, and a lot of people like me, once they're in something once, it's like getting back into it a second time, screw that noise, most of the time anyway. I've made a couple of exceptions in the past, but I don't typically do that. I think that it can still, make it up to $15. I think it can put in another 100% if, nothing tomorrow morning and pre-market is really moving around. Then, what I would do anyway, if I was all of you, is coordinate and, blow up Zcar. Just blow that sucker up and I want everybody to make a shit ton of money on it. I'm not going to be in it, but if you people are making money, that's great. So, I did have a few disappointed, subscribers, that, I can't help but feel bad, it's one of those things where it's like, I understand you're new, but, everybody's new going into the market, and eventually you'll learn, on your own, hopefully, and maybe I'll be able to, kind of get you there to that point, as we go along here. But the more time you spend in the market, the more you learn, and eventually you wouldn't need me or anybody else telling you, hey, this is, this is going to be a banger. You'll be able to, identify all that crap on your own. Um, uh, and it's, so if somebody's basically texting you alerts, well, that's not going to teach you to, identify things. And like I've said before, multiple times, wake up, beginning of pre-market. That's what I do. That's 1 a.m. in the morning for me. And, you watch, you see what's going on, you see what's kind of moving. You want to make quick actions. And what I mean by that is, you know, um, if you're looking at the top five and the top gainers, well, at that point, what you want to do is, you click on one ticker and look at that level 2 data and see what it's doing, see if it's moving, and if there's, consistent, constant volume coming into it. And usually I wait for a ticker to trade a certain amount before I jump into it. So, it's got to have traded at least a couple 100,000 shares at minimum for me to jump into it. And of course, I always glance at, what the float is, and that kind of that'll help you gauge, whether you should be jumping into it or not. Because a lot of these tickers with 100 million share floats, they're not going to move like those low floaters, like Zcar. It's a relatively low float stock, so it can make big moves up pretty quickly, and you get that bullish momentum, and it can move in a big way. So I firmly believe that if we had brought in that volume that we had today in yesterday, that it would have been up, 12-15 bucks. And then today, having that second bunk day where just nothing was moving at all whatsoever, kind of like I predicted. And you can go back and look on Twitter and whatnot. I said all that crap. Most likely today was just going to be a crap day for everything. So Zcar would, be a prime one to get going on. It's like, who knows today, if there had been a continuation from a $12 or $15, closing yesterday, we could have, taken this thing up to 30 bucks. It's just, it would have been an insane one. And, it sucks it didn't pan out the way I had hoped it would. And, it's just, with this one, it really grinds me, because I bought it on Friday in aftermarket hours. I let everybody know that, and I let everybody know what price. And literally, it was strong all the way through aftermarket hours. It held perfectly. There was a ton of accumulation. And then literally 2 minutes, right before aftermarket closing hours, it all of a sudden dumped down to like $4.20. And, that was just like, what the hell's going on here? It was just so uncalled for. It was just last minute profit takers, I guess. But it's like, man, if I knew that it was going to do that, I would have probably held off and bought in at $4.20, So it's just kind of aggravating. But then, today, this morning, I go and I sell, and I'm not shitting you, quite literally 2 minutes after I sell, it starts popping up, and goes up above $5, and then on up into 6, and then on up into 7. It's like, man, that's just crap. I work for these things. It's like I spend time looking for this crap and these kinds of setups. So it was really bothersome that I took a loss on it. I'm getting over it, and that win on ticker Roma. It was the IPO today. That I didn't alert anybody about intentionally, by the way. and you know, I think that's why it worked out in my favor, is because I didn't alert it. Um, you know, that kind of saved my bacon there, and made my day a little better. So uh, anyhow, you know, I don't really know what I'm gonna do from here on out. Uh, you know, I don't know. I do know that there's some weird shit going on, and I don't care for it at all. And you know, it's affecting my trading. You know, when I'm coming out and vocalizing these things, and letting y'all know, hey, this is great right here. I'd be paying attention, because it seems, you know, I just don't understand how I can have the greatest success with every call out that I make that's not vocalized, and you know, just win after win after win, and then every single one that I put out there for people, it's a loss after a loss after a loss, you know, and it's literally you know, clear manipulation, you know, after I make a call. So it's like, I'd just rather almost not. But you know, I guess if you're on Twitter or whatever, you know, you can send me DMs or whatever. Um, you know, usually I know the fake people from, you know, the fake from who's real. So um, you know, you can go ahead and try that. There might be a select few that I still you know, kind of you know, let know what's going on, just because they're fairly new, you know. So you know, I'll kind of try to maybe you know, throw them a bone here and there when I can. But when it comes to openly voicing, you know, all these you know, great picks that I've put out for people, and they have been great picks. There's no question about that. It's just they didn't do what they should have done, and that's, you know, somebody else's fault, really. But I'll leave it at that. Anyhow, I don't want to make this video any longer than it needs to be. I'll probably cut it off here. Um, I'm probably just not going to trade tomorrow. You know, I will watch the market, and you know, see what's moving around, and you know, see what ticker Zcar is doing. You know, I hope the damn thing just blasts up to $20. I'd love to see that. That would be awesome. But I do recommend that you still have it on watch, because it could still do it. But you know, I'm just not feeling it like I was. You know, I'm not 100% right all the freaking time. You know, I've taken my losses. I admit when I'm wrong about something. Um, but you know, and if those tickers that I had called out within the last 4 weeks, you know, had actually been just, you know, total garbage, and whatever else, and you know, hadn't been manipulated like they obviously were, because I watch everything like a hawk, and I kind of, you know, I have a couple of resources, but you know, it's you know, I if it was, you know, just a clean game, then I would totally admit that, you know, those were horrible setups and I made terrible calls. But that's not the case. At least with the majority of them. There was one, and I think that was ticker BHAT. That one was probably not the greatest call. But, you know, it was an after hours mover that didn't hold up as well as it should have in after hours. And I kind of called it a little earlier than I should have. So that's my bad. And, you know, I fess up to that one. So anyhow, I'll talk to y'all later. You know, I'm just super freaking tired. Maybe I'll sleep good tonight, and have a change of heart with things, and you know, get back into the game a little bit here. But you know, it's like, I don't know. I think for at least a few weeks, I'm just gonna keep a select few people notified about some certain tickers, and the rest of you are just kind of, you know, you're just gonna kind of be shit out of luck, at least for, you know, temporarily, when it comes to knowing what I'm trading. you know, I have considered setting up a Discord and, you know, that sort of thing. Um, but, you know, I don't know. I'm not really wanting to put that much work into this channel. This channel isn't, you know, I didn't set it up for me, and I don't benefit from it in any way, shape, or form. So, you know, I don't know. I'm going to give it some more thought, and we'll see what happens. But anyhow, y'all have the rest of a good night, and I'll talk to you later.